there's a combination of a lot of things why numbers are down. So with that, what's up, coaches? You're listening to the United Basketball Plus Coaching and Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Durdan, and I'm joined here tonight with my brother and co-owner of United Basketball Plus, Jeremy. Jeremy, good to have you on.
Thanks, Coach.
So, going to be talking about youth basketball tonight, numbers, involvement. Yesterday, USA Basketball released a video and some other articles discussing 3x3, in other words, 3-on-3 basketball, which isn't a new concept, but we've really gotten away from it. I mean, when we were growing up, we went to a lot of 3-on-3 tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, every small town in a 20-mile radius had some kind of 3-on-3 tournament as a fundraiser.
Well, let's think about it. You had Winona. That was huge. You had Minunk, the 4th of July one. You had Woodland. They held it at the gym in March. That was huge. I mean, and then there's even more. That's 3 already right here locally. There's plenty more than that.
But is it because there's a lot of factors that go into play why these 3-on-3 tournaments, and these are for all ages. We'll get back into 3-on-3 for the youth, but you have to start honing in on the reasons why these tournaments have basically disappeared. Is it organization, not having people wanting to organize it? Was it participation? Was participation declining? Insurance reasons? Lots of different reasons that those tournaments disappeared or have dwindled. But let's just talk about 3-on-3 for youth development. When you were going through school in your class, very large class, I was 4 years older than you, so I wasn't in your league, but I remember going to your practices and games and watching. I think that started out as a 3-on-3 when you were in like first or second grade, and then developed from there. What do you remember about the league that few dads started?
So it kind of started out as a 3-on-3, and like you said, over time we got more into the 5-on-5. But and USA Basketball Clip kind of touched on this a little bit, but a big part of what we started back in second and third grade was development. And when you're starting with 3-on-3, that's really helping you develop a lot more than 5-on-5, offensively and defensively. Everybody's got the ball in their hand more, and it's not a typical 5-out or 4-out, 1-in, 3-out, 2-in offense. Like, everybody's going to have to be able to handle the ball. Everybody's shooting, everybody's dribbling, everybody's doing everything. And you're developing more that way. And not only offensively, but defensively. You know, when you got 3v3, you got wider gaps. People need to be in help more. Defenders need to be in help more. Defenders need to be on the ball, covering the ball a lot better, utilizing angles. So the biggest thing that 3-on-3, and especially back in the second grade when we started, was trying to get people more experience with the ball in their hand, trying to develop those traits that you can develop them playing 5v5, but it's a lot easier to develop them playing 3v3.
Some big things that you touched on there was more opportunities and what was it, how you phrased it? Skills, maybe you said?
Skill development, pretty much.
I mean, all of you that played, and it started out co-ed to get more numbers. All of you that played, there was nobody who was taller than the other. You were in second or third grade, so everybody was like right here. And if I remember how it went, because I remember I was 4 years older than you, so I was in a different program, a different league. If I remember correctly, how it went was you might have practiced one night a week during the actual work week, and then came in on Saturdays or Sundays, practiced, and then had games. But there's 2 or 3 dads who started it, but then all parents were invited to come because there were numerous kids, like tons of kids. And then each parent, they chose to come, they were like a group leader, so that you all were split up amongst not one big group or multiple bigger groups, but 4 or 5 players in a group to practice skills.
I don't remember necessarily the practice schedule, but I do remember how it was, the practices were accumulated. But I do remember a lot of practices also that we would have, 5 to 6 coaches there. And like you said, they were mostly dads, and they were coming in just to give pointers. But you got a lot of individual coaching. Say we had 20 people there, and you got 5 coaches. Okay, there's 1 coach for every 4 players. You get a lot more one-on-one, a lot more individualized coaching. And at that age, it's not as much X's and O's. It's a lot more, you're doing a lot of fundamental stuff. We actually would lower the baskets. They would put lower baskets on the rim.
That's what
So
something I wanted to bring up.
10 foot tall, they lower them down to 8 foot, and then you got little kids shooting at an 8 foot rim. But that's better than shooting at a 10 foot rim, because on an 8 foot rim, it's easier for a little kid to do. You can actually focus on your form. You can actually get the ball up there. You can focus on swishing. You can focus on holding your follow through. You can focus on not flicking your opposite thumb into it and pushing with two hands, where you're practicing proper form. And then getting back to the coaches, you had more coaches there to basically critique what you were doing. So there was just so many aspects that were good about how we did our youth development when I was growing up in second and third and fourth grade.
So there's two things I want to talk about what you just mentioned. One of them was the more realistic play style for you, the player. They lowered the rims to 8 foot. I think you used a slightly smaller basketball, like maybe a size 5 or 6.
I actually don't remember.
I think they used a 5 or a 6. Maybe they went and got the girls' basketballs.
Actually, that probably is what it was. We probably used.
So you didn't have a full size 7 basketball,
which is fine. I mean, you're just trying to get muscle memory and the dribble techniques. Keeping your eyes up. And
well, I've seen a lot of kids playing, their second, third grade, and they're using a full size 7 basketball that's as big as they are. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make much sense to me. So the first thing I want to bring up was that they lowered the regulation size basketball tools for your age group, so that your development was more in line with what you wanted. But then the other piece I wanted to talk about was, if you had upwards of 6 coaches at a practice, it's amazing to me that they all were preaching the same thing. What were some of the top 3 things that the coaches wanted the players?
Well, we got lucky. We had in my class a lot of players that had dads that were pretty good basketball players or knew a lot about basketball. I mean, you had Kyle, you had Tim, you had Jeff. So, and again, when we were in there, it wasn't necessarily as much, hey, these are your X's and O's. It was, hey, here's how you dribble properly. Get down in your stance, pound the ball, eyes up, and then they'd walk around. All the coaches would hold up fingers. How many fingers? When I pulled up 2 of them, you're supposed to yell out 2, so that way, they know that your eyes are up. Focusing on passing, meeting your pass, how to pass, bounce pass. We didn't really do over the head passes, but you don't do those till later in your high school years, probably.
Ever, yeah.
Bounce pass, chest pass, meeting your pass, shooting. So, I mean, right there, those are the basics of basketball: shooting, passing, and dribbling. Those are the things we focused on. And a lot of the coaches that we had there, again, knew a lot about basketball. And then they were able to basically, I would say that all they group wide, the coaches kind of had a similar idea and understanding of the fundamentals of basketball. They could all preach it the same way. Mm-hmm. Now, Kyle was the head coach that was there. So, I mean, he was probably giving pointers what he wanted focused on. Mm-hmm. Hey, we need to focus on critiquing meeting the pass today. So then they'd really get on you to meet your passes when we'd be doing it live. But yeah, having 6 coaches, I mean, people say, oh, you don't need more than 3 coaches. Well, sometimes the more coaches you have, the more individualized it gets, because more coaches have eyes on you and can critique you when you're playing.
Right. And that they were all on the same page. Like you said, Kyle and Tim, who started the league, were obviously leading the league, but then to get the next 4 to 6 coaches on board with them is just an amazing thing. Were any of the coaches, even though they were told, okay, today we're going to focus on really getting down into the aspects of passing, did any of the coaches ever make it about themselves, or was it no?
No, it was really just that's the thing about like second and third grade. From a coaching perspective, I mean, your reward as a coach that you're going to get at second and third grade is watching kids grow up to be good basketball players. I mean, we didn't even really compete against anybody but ourselves. We would scrimmage ourselves. So it's not like you're going out and beating other schools. Like, as a coach and as a dad doing it, you're doing it because, number one, you like basketball and you understand it, you can coach it, but number 2, you want your sons or your daughters or whatever's class of classmates that they're going to grow up with and be playing basketball on the exact same team. You want to see them be successful in their junior high and in their high school years. So you have this like they did, bring on this youth program to develop those players. So in that way, later on, you can watch what I would consider to be good basketball. Yeah. That's your reward as a coach.
For me, my coaching philosophy is all players can do all things.
That's exactly what was taught then too. Everyone, a big thing you see now is you got a 6'6" sixth grader, or something like that. Hey, you're tall. We're going to shove you underneath the basket. Well, then you get into high school. They're still 6 foot. They don't have any guard skills, and everybody else is way taller than them. You're going to get cooked. I mean, maybe not cooked, but you're going to have a difficult time. You're not going to be as versatile as you could have been had you learned guard skills and also enhanced your ability. Obviously they're going to probably play you a lot in the post, so you'll develop the post skills, but to also have the guard skills on top of it. So when you get into high school, you're more versatile.
And versatility is a huge thing.
And today, especially.
Because you want your players to be able to, maybe your guards, to be able to post up, and your posts
to be able to shoot and do things.
To be able to shoot.
Pass.
Basketball is, in my mind, a chess match. Let me phrase it this way. When I'm teaching my post players, we talk about high-low. Right. You have to, as an offensive player, when you're on offense, think about what the defense is doing. When I'm teaching my posts, when you're on the low block and the ball starts opposite wing, starts getting driven, what do you think your defender is going to do? You're on the block, opposite wing starts driving towards the basket. What's your defender going to do?
They're going to help. They're going to kind of skim away from you, kind of help off onto the ball.
Right. So you get position. Yeah. Right. But when we're talking like maybe 2 posts, I'm talking like a high-low. So as one starts coming down,
the other one starts going up. It's like a windshield wiper.
Yep. Yes. Again, because what's the defense doing? They're helping. They're helping. So if the post is in the block, the other post might necessarily, or guard, or whoever might not necessarily want to be on the block. It's the windshield wiper coming up, going down, keeping that spacing. Getting off topic here. All players, my coaching philosophy, all players can do all things. Now, some players might be better suited to play in the post, and that's where they're going to find a lot of their time. I'm going to tailor our offense around that. Teaching players how to play. I think that our best offensive action was we go and set a ball screen, and then I just teach everybody how to play after that. They're cutting, they're moving. I have no clue who's going to take the shot or who's going to move where or what they're going to do. The only thing that I know is going to happen is we're going to start off the offense with a ball screen or an off-ball screen. After that, free game. As long as we're getting quality shots, I'll live with it. So back to the youth development. You had 30-ish players playing when you started there because it was co-ed.
Yep.
And 6 coaches. That's about 5 players per coach. You might have had 4 or 5 or 6 players per coach. Did you play a lot of 3-on-3?
Yeah, we did actually. We would play a lot of 3-on-3, and we would kind of get into 4-on-4 and into 5-on-5. A lot of what we did too. Well, and actually this wasn't as much in 2nd and 3rd grade, but I remember in junior high a lot. You'd get into the advantage. You'd start out 5-on-5, and then it would go to 5-on-4, then down to 4v3, and then just disadvantage stuff like that. And that was always good too. Just trying to teach kids, like you always said, spacing and how to pass and how to get players mentally prepared for advantage situations too.
Basketball is played in a lot of advantage situations, even in the half court.
Yeah,
you're trying to, as an offense, beat somebody 4-on-3, 2-on-1. You want to read. I read a lot. Take what the defense gives you. No, you're on the offense. You're on the attack. The defense should always be wrong. They should always be reacting to what you're doing. Of course, okay, if the defensive player is giving you a high hands, high closeout, a shot, is it a drive? Well, it just depends on what kind of shooter you are. I would prefer a drive if they're at that kind of disadvantage. Teach the kids that though.
Yeah. Well,
like coach,
like you just said, everything's about, finding an advantage and taking an advantage, as my Cornell college basketball coach always said. But like you just said, you got into a lot of ball screens in your offense this year in high school. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to set a screen. You're trying to come off of that with an advantage situation. You set a ball screen, then the player comes off of that. Screener rolls, all right? Immediately, you should be making reads as if it's 5-on-4 because you got a defender that's behind you. So every time that you're playing offense, you're looking for an advantage situation.
Plain and simple. So one thing I remember coaches saying when we were in a timeout or this or that, things weren't flowing right offensively and coaches yelling. You have to transfer what we do in the drills and practice to the game.
Yeah.
You have to transfer the drills to the game. Looking back at that now, it happened a lot in junior high.
I had that a lot all the way through basketball, but definitely in high school.
Junior high and in high school, you have to take the drills and transfer them to the game. Well, maybe, just a thought now that I've had as a coach, maybe the drills don't translate to what you're doing in your offensive and defensive philosophy. If you're a 5-out motion team and you're not doing anything to teach advantage situations, you're just running 5-on-0 or some sort of 5-person shooting drill or whatever the case might be, that's not going to translate to the game. Because even though it's 5-out offense, my opinion, there's only ever really 3 people who are being involved critically in the offense. Yes, all 5 pieces have to move and you have to build up to that. But if you're 5-out and you're setting, say it's a ball screen dominant offense, well, there's 2 players accounted for right there. And then you have another primary player in the offense. So there's 3. The 4th person might be a secondary, but really there's going to be 3 primary people in that ball screen offense. The ball handler, the screener, and then the next closest person to the action. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, the other 2 people, like most of the time, I feel like are standing in the corners.
Right.
Kind of
Dunker spot, ball side or opposite dunker spot, or the corners.
Yeah.
And your action's happening from the slot or the top.
Yeah.
Or they're coming out of the dunker spot. So now you have the ball side is your 3 primary people.
Well, until, especially on that, until your guard gets downhill, I mean, there's really not too many options for those other 2 players out there to do. If they're in the dunker spot or in the corners, I mean, you got to read what
you have to train that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We are going to, I think everything that you do can be broken down to 3-on-3. So back to the point, if you're running just some drills, as a coach now, thinking about you have to translate the drills to the game, then you're not playing the game.
Right.
I've caught myself numerous times this year running a drill, and there's some stipulations to it. Okay, we're just trying to practice this one component. Maybe that's rebounding. And the players, I catch the players. Okay, they're doing just that, which is what you want to do because you're just trying to train that one skill.
Yeah.
But then I'll stop and I'll say, hold on here a second. Are we playing basketball or are we playing the drill?
Right.
And you see this switch flip. One of the things I do a lot of 4-on-4 shell defense. There are like 3 or 4 key things that I'm focusing on in our shell. One of the things though, if you get a steal, if you get a deflection, okay, and it ends up in a steal, or you get a steal, you have to score that. Like get it, steal it, and score it. Because a lot of times in the shell they get a steal and that just ends right there. Well,
you got to, yeah, exactly.
Like, then what are we going to do? We're going to practice a steal and then transition. Oh, you steal it. And it's funny watching them even through the end of the season. It was always like a surprise. Like, oh, we got to steal. And then they're like, we got to score it now. So there's like a 3-second lapse in between the steal and the score. I want that to really decrease going into next year. But it's like, yes, this is a half court. We're focused just on our defensive principles right now in this shell drill. But if you steal it, you've got to go score it. Everybody's transitioning.
Well, what do people like more? Do they like stealing the ball more or do they like scoring more on aggregate? What would you say?
They want to score.
Right. So you give people a double incentive to play even harder on defense now.
Right.
Okay, you get a steal. Now you also get a chance to score points.
Right. It worked out this year because we had some managers, but I liked the scoring aspect too on the offensive end. So say team A was on offense and team B's on defense. Well, the scoring set up so that when we want the defense to do, you want to have a negative number. Defensive points are negatives. Offensive points are positives. So if the offense is getting, so it's the opposite. If the defense gives up a paint touch, that's 1 point to the offense. So kind of a double whammy there. What do you think the offense is always trying to do?
Get the ball to the paint.
Get the ball to the paint numerous times. And we all know if the ball gets into the paint,
you're going to get a point and you're probably going to score.
And you're probably going to, because the defense is collapsing.
There's another aspect to that I like though too, that, you turn the ball over, or the other team steals it, you go score. What do a lot of offenses do when they turn the ball over? They pout. Okay, train your guys. Get the heck back on defense. Forget that you turned the ball over. You have to get back on defense. You have to stop. Even though you turned it over. In practice, if you just, the other team steals the ball and then, drills over and we're going to next rep. Okay, you're almost teaching your team on offense to turn the ball over and just not do anything. To just stand there. Right. But if the other team has an opportunity to transition, score a point, or score a basket for more negative points towards the offense, you're teaching your team to actually turn the ball over and forget about it, get back, play defense, so we don't give up more points.
Right.
It's like a double incentive there.
So I felt this year, I saw the most growth in aggregate across all players, the most growth doing things because we played a lot more.
Yeah.
Now, some players, because of just, they're growing up, are more suited for playing closer to the basket, or so you've got to teach them to use their skills while also teaching them to feel comfortable to take the leap to do another skill.
And I know we're talking about player development specifically here at the youth level, but you're talking about high school. But the same thing still applies. If you're doing it in high school, you definitely can do it at the younger. Well, but at the same token, we were doing it when I played at Elmhurst. We were doing 3-on-3 all the time in practice, all the time. Most of our offense was 5 out.
Right.
And your center would start with the ball at the top of the key. Then you had 2 wings and 2 corners. So we would do is 3v3, 3 on, sometimes, but a lot of 3v3. But you cut out, it would just be half court, down the middle going this way. It'd be, just the vertical half the court, basically. You get the right side. And then, we would do a lot of doubles. So you'd throw the ball to a coach or whatever on the left wing, and then you run over and set a double screen, and then you're learning how to play out of that in a 3v3 situation. The other one would be flipped. So the center would start with the ball at the top of the key, and then he would throw the ball to the wing, go set a follow screen, a ball screen, or he wouldn't do that. He would just wave the slot through and then do a handoff at the corner. But what my point is, we were playing 3v3, but we were also training the offense. Yes. You're learning, you're playing against a defense, but you're also training the offense. So in that way, when you get into a game, you're used to these situations, where you've played 3-on-3 and you've gotten so used to playing 3-on-3 that in a game, you're going to have 4 people on the left side of the floor that, some of the defenders might be in help, but you've trained this 6th side over here so many times that you kind of know everything you're looking for.
Yeah. The reason I was bringing up what we were doing at the high school level is exactly that, because I think that if we're doing it there and you're doing it at the Division III college level, and everything's online now, and that Division I's are spending a lot of time on that, 3-on-3, is that it trickles down. The high school level, public schools do not have the luxury of recruiting. And point being is all coaches at the varsity level should be concerned about what's happening at the youth level. If you want to have any kind of success or longevity with your program at your school, you need to be concerned about all youth levels. Now, I'm not saying you need to demand or you need to go out there and tell them how to do things, like how to be a coach, but just suggesting, hey, this is how we're doing it at the varsity level. We're having success doing this. It will be beneficial to your players if you do this. So I said earlier, one of my coaching philosophies, all players, all things. I'm also a war of attrition mindset, where I would personally rather have a normal school. How many players do they have who are just like their varsity caliber players, like maximum number?
Well, I guess it depends on the program and how big the school is. But, just standard 1A school. I mean, I'd be surprised.
2.
Oh yeah,
2 players. Okay,
2 to 3 at a small school.
2 to 3. Okay, these are our go-to players.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Okay. Then the next step up is you have that 4th player who's just, if all 4 of them can score 10 points, that's 40 points. And consistently, night after night, that's 40 points. Okay, then you get to the really good programs
where everybody can score, and
where the top 5 can score between 10 points. Well, why stop at 5? So that's what I mean by attrition. Okay. That coach has one player who can score 40 points on their own. It's going to be an attrition thing. And that player consistently do it and win games. Well, I would rather have 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 players who can do all things.
Mm-hmm.
So you get down now, like I said, you have, as a varsity coach, should be concerned about what's happening at your youth levels. You should be involved in it. Not a dictator, but you should be involved in it, probably. Not a dictator, but you should be involved in it. Why? For the betterment of your program, if you want to have any longevity and success. So showing, okay, you in the junior high program at the 7th grade level have 15 kids out. You can only ever play 5. How are you going to keep 15 kids in practice if you're only ever playing 5 and maybe 5 on defense? Now you still have 5 who are sitting out.
Yeah, during a practice.
During a practice. And that's where we're talking about participation rates. Okay, well, we start to trickle off. So you have your first 5, and then your second 5, and then 5 who are sitting out. Maybe
then aren't getting any sort of development or any training.
No development in practice because you're only focused on 10, and then they're getting maybe 1 to 0 minutes in the game. Okay, so maybe they all quit. And the next year in 8th grade, you have 10. You're playing 5 on 5, but that second 5, your starters are still good, but that second 5 maybe really hasn't developed as much as you'd hope. So you start to trickle in some of the 7th grade class, the starters from the 7th grade class behind you. So you're playing, again, maybe 5 on 7th grade 5. Who knows? Well, of those 10, how many more are you going to lose going in high school?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody moves.
You got injuries always. You got to factor
injuries.
in.
Tastes and preferences change. So players who I enjoy playing basketball because my friends do it. Well, now they have more options to do clubs and other extracurriculars. So of those 10 that are coming into high school, maybe you only get.
So now you're playing younger guys, then they really lose interest, and then they start quitting.
And so I can see where the participation starts to
repetitive
decrease.
cycle. Yeah.
And it's primarily because they're just not getting the growth and development and structure that they want. So how do you structure a good youth program? And that's why I love that USA Basketball is promoting 3v3, because I personally think that players 2nd, 3rd grade, if they're playing that young, start them on the fundamentals and just harp on that. The tools that they use, the hoops and the basketballs, decrease the size to fit their fundamental growth area, and then get more experience. Everybody getting more reps, because you get into 5th grade and 6th grade.
Well,
stop just saying, okay, these are the 5 because this is our tallest 5 or our quickest 5. As a coach, as a youth coach, play more. You're not winning a national championship in the 5th grade. Or the 6th or the 7th or the 8th. There's no national champion. Some you don't
state champion.
Maybe you don't even have that. Some don't even have that. So just play more.
Well, I've never really met a kid, that wanted to play basketball, that likes playing basketball, that said, I don't want to have the ball in my hands. I think a lot of players want to be able to do things with the basketball. They fall with the game by probably shooting hoops outside or something like that. So, I mean, you're playing 3v3, you get that opportunity to have that ball in your hands a lot more, which is more exciting than, basketball will probably always be 5v5. It's not going to go down to, how football went to 8-man, and you see some of that, which isn't a problem, but I don't think, you'll always have 5v5 in basketball, but the 3-on-3 allows your players to have the ball in their hand more, which makes it more enjoyable for them. But in return, they're also developing more and have more opportunities to develop.
In my opinion, if you're a varsity coach, you need to structure your program top to bottom. Kids love structure as much as we think that they don't. Structure it. 3-on-3. 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, 3-on-3. 5th grade, little 3-on-3, little 5-on-5. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at junior high level, 5-on-5. But at the youth levels, if you have numerous parents involved in coaching, parents always want to coach from the stands, get them involved in coaching at the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade level. Numerous coaches. Don't just say we want two parents or 2 random people coaching. Parents involved, invite them to practices. If you're playing 3-on-3 and you have 24 kids, well, that's 8 teams right there. That's 8 parents. Boom. All right. The parents are coaching. Maybe you have your older kids, your eighth graders officiating your second, third, and fourth grade. Maybe your varsity players are officiating that, or because parents, not only do they coach from the stands, they officiate from the stands.
Make them officiate.
So you have some that are coaching and some that are officiating. Okay, we're eliminating those coaches from the stands. They're working together with their kids or other kids. We are now bringing more of a cohesive basketball environment because parents are on the same page in coaching and they're officiating too. So we're eliminating some of that physical play that shies some players away. Kids get more opportunities to play because it's 3-on-3. So it's a great opportunity there, in my opinion, for second, third, fourth, some fifth grade. You get into fifth grade, you start playing some 5-on-5. You start traveling. I still don't think you need to travel cross country to play. There's plenty of teams. Every small town has a team. Play them. If you play them 3 times in a year, who cares? You're not gunning for a national championship. Fifth, sixth grade players, if you play them 3 times, might go one way one time, the other the next time. The third time could be a toss-up. Even if you win 3 times, hopefully it gets closer because of the development that everybody's now partaking in. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, 5-on-5. Again, don't need to travel cross country. There's plenty of teams just down the street. Then you get into high school.
That's what you're developing.
Now, as a freshman player, you might not make varsity, but as a coach, you still need to be giving them opportunities to develop.
Yep.
Teach them how to play.
Yep.
But at a youth level, like we started this conversation, all players doing all things, coach involvement, pushing towards the right fundamental direction.
And here's one thing I would like to also mention too on top of that. I mean, say your youth program, you might start, I don't know, give me a date. When would you start? Maybe start it.
A youth program?
Yeah.
I'd say a fall or a spring start, depending on the.
Okay, and then
the
how
season.
long? 3 months, 2 months?
I think 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks would be a good program.
No matter what the age, third, fourth, fifth grade, whatever, you're going to have a 10 to 12 week development program. But at the end of those 12 weeks, don't just say, all right, everyone, we'll see you next year. Give every player things to work on. When we went to that Wesleyan camp down at Illinois Wesleyan during the summer, they did a great job. The leaders for each group would do an evaluation of you throughout the week.
Yep.
Written evaluation, shooting form, and a bunch of other things. But, this is a youth program that you're looking at. You could structure it in many different ways. You could do, passing, dribbling, shooting,
right,
and then just put pointers on there and then hand it to them after the 12-week program is over and say, okay, here's where I evaluate you at. Here's what you need to work on in the off season. You need to work on shooting. You need to work on getting your follow through, your elbow higher above your ear, follow through, hand in the cookie jar. You need to work on keeping your eyes up, things to work on. Then the players should be able to take that and work on it in the off season. And then, like you were saying, if a lot of their parents were involved, then in the coaching in the off season can help you
get there.
Yes, help you get there, develop, and do some of those things that you were evaluated on.
Player improvement plans. That's what you're talking about. Yeah. I would venture to, I would build on that and saying, if you're running that 8 to 10 to 12 week league, week one, you're assuming that you have all those coaches that we talked about.
Yeah.
You have a week one plan, score, a middle of the season score, and then that, like you just said, a score where you can walk away and say, okay, here's your plan, in the off season.
Because your off season is going to be way longer than your in season, especially for younger players.
And it should be.
And it should be.
We're not saying playing all the time, I think, is turned into detrimental. Where you're playing every day, every weekend. No, take some time off. We're saying, okay, off season,
a couple times a week, work on your dribbling.
Or 5 minutes a day, just grab the ball and dribble a little bit. If you can't dribble outside, probably shouldn't dribble inside, on the floor. But find some time, get some friends together. There's parks everywhere. Go, if it's nice, go to a park and play a little 3-on-3 if it, age appropriate, of course. I'm not saying send a second grader to a park and play some pickup, but here's your plan. Execute this in the off season, not an everyday thing, and then build on it. Because we're go ahead.
No, I was going to say another thing that like little kids third, fourth, fifth graders ain't going to like to do is things that they struggle at. They might not want to do them because they struggle at them and they don't like to struggle at something.
Right.
Try to teach them to enjoy not being good at something and trying to get better at it.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's how they're going to develop. They're not going to develop by, always try to build off the things that you do good, but they're going to develop mainly off of knowing what they're not doing good and working at it to actually improve it and make them a better basketball player.
So yeah, giving them a plan and something to work towards. Here's your score. Let's say when we meet again next fall or next spring or whenever it is, let's see what your scores are then.
Yeah.
And the youth players at the this is coming from a high school coach. Involve your youth players in your program as much as you can. Invite them to games, invite them to build the tunnel for the run out. You have to, if you're going to structure your program, it has to be across all facets. I want the numbers in participation in sports to increase. I think we have to start structure and giving players something to work towards.
One thing that Hannigan did this year, which I thought was neat, and there's probably opinions against it and opinions for it, but they took a half day, or maybe it was a full day, off on a Friday, and they went to Ridgeview High School, which is in Flanagan's Conference, and they played a basketball game in the middle of the day, but the whole school was there.
Both schools,
yeah. The whole school for both schools were there. And that was all the way. I don't know if it went down to the elementary, but for sure junior high. And I think a big part of that is trying to build interest. You see a packed gym full of people, and it just like sparks interest in someone that's younger saying, man, I want that to be me in a few years. Do little things like that, just completely out of the ordinary things that try to spark interest and get people that maybe otherwise wouldn't have been interested, actually interested.
Yeah, just you're connecting programs. So the big takeaways here are structuring a youth program, not for the betterment of you, the coach or parent, but the player in mind. That's what we're going for. We're trying to build better players, better people, and they have to enjoy it. Youth, junior high, and high school basketball should not feel like a chore. You should enjoy it. Because if you enjoy it, then you're going to have more success in it. And then if you want to continue on after that, it's on you because you enjoyed it enough. You get to the college level, no matter what level you're at, it's professional. It's like a job. And that's just what it is. Your life's not determined by how good of a second grade basketball player you are, or even how good of a varsity player you are. It's the things that you take from it and that you learn. And we just have to build enjoyment in the sport, structure a good program, involve the players, and just build joy in it.
And as you said earlier, for a youth program, you don't just have to limit it to boys and girls. When I was doing it, it was boys and girls. It can be co-ed, and if not anything else, solely to get numbers out. But in doing so, you're building rapport with all your classmates. That's how we did it.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
So if you're interested in taking your program and building more interest in basketball, and especially your youth programs, if you don't have one already or you want to redesign your youth program, USA Basketball put out articles yesterday, March 3rd. Check those out. You can Google USA Youth Basketball 3x3. They're on Twitter or X at USA Basketball Youth. They have articles on how to structure the program, how to run the clocks, the organization of the scoring, and all of that. Great reads. I think an excellent way to structure your youth program. So check them out, USA Youth Basketball. We're going to be talking a lot more youth development, youth programs. We're also going to be talking a lot about 5-on-5 at the varsity level. We're excited this year. I know we're like 9 months away, but really excited for the 2026 Hoosier Gym Coaches Clinic in Knightstown, September 11th and 12th. I think we have a great lineup coming up there. Coaches, check out Nick Camrano. He's been on the speaking trail. Check him out. And then check out Marty Plum of A Pen and a Napkin. He has a pen and a napkin clinic coming up in Nebraska in April. Check that out. With that, Jeremy, thank you for hopping on here tonight and talking some youth basketball.
Absolutely.
We got some more conversations in store, but I think we're off to a great start here.
Yep. Love to be here.
Coaches, thank you for listening to the United Basketball Plus Coaching and Leadership Podcast. For all things United Basketball Plus, visit us at our website, www.unitedbasketballplus.com, or on X at UnitedBBallPlus.